All right. Well, good afternoon, Salukis. I hope you enjoyed seeing all those amazing pictures of our history and listening to the alma mater and our fight song, Go Southern Go. Hopefully that was a nice walk down memory lane. My name is Austin Lane, and I have the distinct pleasure of serving as your Chancellor of Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. I want to welcome everyone to this year's State of the University. I'm so glad that each of you are joining us today, and I'm so grateful for all you do for SIUC. You will notice a theme in today's presentation as we reflect on the past, the present, and the future of our university. That theme is the word imagine. Imagine SIUC in 2030. If you'll indulge me just for a moment, in 1971, John Lennon wrote a beautiful song entitled Imagine. The line or lyric that I love the most in this song is when he says, "You may say I'm a dreamer." Some of you may say I'm crazy, or you may say I'm naive, but I have big goals for this wonderful institution. But in order to chart a course for the future, we must take the time to understand the past. Over several months, I've gotten to know you and learn about this institution's storied legacy. It is something to be immensely proud of, and I want us to briefly take a step back and acknowledge where this university came from and all it has achieved. I thought it'd be a little fun to take us back a bit with some of our mascots and/or logos. The trends, they come and go, but logos change every few decades, but one thing that remains very unique to our culture and spirit are the Salukis. Again, I can't tell you over my 9 months of being here how proud I have been to be a part of the Saluki Nation. Meeting all of you and working on your behalf for the things that we're doing has been incredible. Something that struck me as I was over in the Hall of Presidents, it gave me chills. And I don't know if you've had a chance to go over to our library and see this, but if you do, if you have a chance, please go over and see this. It gave me chills. These words embody our purpose as an institution and have inspired me in my journey towards dreaming about what comes next for SIU Carbondale. Let me highlight the bold letters that are there before you. I would like to read this. It really strikes home what we are: to exalt beauty in God, in nature, and in art, teaching how to love the best, but to keep the human touch. This is back in 1958 when this was commissioned. To advance learning in all lines of truth, wherever they may lead, showing how to think rather than what to think, assisting the powers of the mind in their self-development, to forward ideas and ideals in our democracy, inspiring respect for others. As for ourselves, ever promoting freedom with responsibility, to become a center of order and light, that knowledge may lead to understanding and understanding to wisdom. Again, it's so important that we focus on the past. SIU Carbondale has a rich history going back more than 150 years. I've listed a few notable moments from our history that include things like our historic NIT National Championship in 1967, led by basketball legend Walt Frazier. The SIU School of Medicine opened its doors in 1970 amidst the unrest of the Vietnam War era. The great Saluki football team of 1983 that won the NCAA National Championship. And if you've been following our football team today, you know that they're doing an amazing job. They just had a great win this past Saturday and looking forward to our game this Sunday. So they're doing a magnificent job. In 2000, we appointed James Walker as the university's first African-American president. 2005 was a big year for SIU when the Saluki Way project held the groundbreaking for several new venues, including the new Saluki Stadium and the Banterra Center renovation. Beautiful facilities. Our university has had a notable history in the area of sustainability. In 2011 was the first of 8 times we have received the Princeton Review's Green Colleges recognition. More notable facilities were developed in recent years, including the Student Services Building in 2013. It's a nice one-stop shop facility. We welcome all of our students and serve our students. And we celebrated notable anniversaries in recent years, including the SIU Foundation's 75th in 2017, and SIU Carbondale, as you know, celebrating its 150th anniversary in 2019. As we turn to the present, much of our notable highlights relate to our community's resiliency in the face of the worst pandemic in more than 100 years. Students, faculty, and staff were forced to rethink the way they teach, learn, and work. And in doing so, we saw the Saluki spirit shine through across campus. Some of the notable highlights this past year include: in March 2020, the pandemic forced us to move classes to online and alternative formats, and many of us needed to work remotely. Still, our work continued. We remained committed to our students and continued to recruit new students for fall 2020. In April 2020, our faculty and staff and students responded quickly, serving the needs of the community, the state, the region, and the nation. SIU was the first state university to manufacture and deliver a key COVID-19 test ingredient, which was later made into a documentary for regional PBS stations. SIU manufactured and donated 3D printed face shields to SIH, our partner. In a few weeks, our generous donors contributed more than $240,000 to the Saluki Cares Student Emergency Fund to assist in those efforts. In May of 2020, the pandemic caused many in-person events to move to virtual format. Commencement was one of them, but we were able to include a special guest, our alumnus, Bob Odenkirk. We improved safety. For example, our plant and service operations carpentry shop employees made acrylic shield dividers for use in authorized areas on campus and at the School of Medicine in Springfield. We continue to serve our community. The Research Park conducted a survey of local businesses and created programming and services specifically designed to help them. And the university offered virtual summer camps and youth programs. In June, even though the pandemic was still underway, we had reason to celebrate. The university shipped its final batch of a crucial COVID-19 test element to the state of Illinois health officials, bringing the team's final production tally to 115,000 vials of viral transport medium. We opened a testing site on campus. COVID did not stop us from installing the past, present, future statue created by our alumnus in Alumni Plaza. Absolutely beautiful statue. In July of 2020, thanks to all of you, our Board of Trustees, and our President, Dr. Dan Mahoney, I arrived and began my service to SIU during a time that has been like no other in my 26 years of higher education. We spent the summer planning for the fall and worked hard on plans to provide our students with a top-notch education while keeping everyone on our campus and in our campus community safe. Salukis continue to step up. Our Fermentation Science Institute produced its own hand sanitizer for our campus. I mean, who does that? It's amazing. It was a cleaner product than most available commercial versions at nearly half the cost. So what an incredible thing that's being done here during the pandemic. In August of 2020, we started fall classes with a blend of online, hybrid, and in-person classes with many health and safety protocols in place. While this was an unprecedented fall semester, our commitment to providing a high-quality education in a safe environment was our top priority. I am deeply grateful to all of the faculty and staff who spent long hours making sure we were prepared. Several of our administrators did an amazing job, went above and beyond to support our faculty, staff, and students, and I want to thank them as well. All did a good job in complying with our protocols. We asked you to wear masks and do those kinds of things, and you complied and you did that, and we were safer because of it. We were rewarded with a lower number of COVID cases on campus and no reports of transmission in the classroom. Again, thanks to you, we're able to get through some of this. I would be remiss if I didn't pause for a moment, in a moment of silence, for all of those that we did lose during the pandemic. We don't want to forget about them. We don't want to forget about you and your loved ones. If you've lost someone during this pandemic, our heart goes out to you. In September of 2020, we announced fall 2020 enrollment. The pandemic affected universities across the country, yet we had some good news. Enrollment for first-time college students was up by 31% enrollment of new students. That was big for us. In the Southern Illinois region, we're up 32%. Our retention rates from freshman to sophomore year increased to 80%, the highest in 20 years. Even though the fall semester had recently begun, we started making plans for spring. In October of 2020, COVID still affected how we did our work, but we persevered. We held our first diversity week in virtual settings in small groups to comply with health and safety protocols. But the events helped us recognize and enhance our diversity, inclusion, and equity. The pandemic did not stop our researchers from making discoveries. A Smithsonian Magazine article included the work of a team of SIU researchers who found the Mississippi was a lot older than previously thought. Marching on to November, COVID-19 presented learning opportunities. Nearly 50 students created a series of 10 short plays inspired by their own pandemic experiences and research. How creative. In spite of the pandemic, our aviation program celebrated its 60th anniversary and got 5 new planes. It's flying Salukis, doing incredible things. December 2020, although COVID prevented from holding in-person events, our colleges and schools adapted and continue to reach out to future students virtually. One example of that, and I spent a few times on these calls, was with our FFA students, our future Salukis. Did an amazing job there. In January of 2021, a team led by a researcher at SIU Carbondale discovered a new variant of the COVID-19 virus that is specific to and dominant in the United States. This research made national headlines. It was all over the world, not just the country, the world. February 2021, almost a year into the pandemic, we persisted in our work to showcase Salukis. We launched our new homepage, which features videos showcasing our beautiful campus, sense of community, unique opportunities for our students, and the Saluki spirit. In March of 2021, it was a big month for us, thanks to the collective efforts of Salukis. We were among the first to announce plans for in-person commencement ceremonies and in-person fall classes. We also started promoting the COVID vaccines to faculty, staff, and students. Those efforts continue. Our partnerships with Jackson County Health Department and SIH have been remarkable. Our Day of Giving on March 3rd raised a record of almost $2.9 million. Our SIU Foundation, Matt Kupik and his staff did an amazing job. And we celebrated victories on the gridiron. Our football team upset a #1 team. It was North Dakota State, and later, as I mentioned, won a playoff berth It's the first time since 2009. Coach Hill, our student athletes are doing an incredible job. This past weekend, we cheered on the Salukis, as I mentioned earlier, to their victory over Weber State. And again, we hope to be doing the same thing again this Sunday. Go Dogs. April 2021, we have a long-standing commitment to sustainability, and we would not allow the pandemic to interfere with it. We celebrated Earth Day by awarding more than $37,000 in Green Fund grants to 11 sustainability projects. As we wrap up our second spring semester in a pandemic, I look toward the future with hope. We're still on track to hold an in-person commencement ceremony, including awarding an honorary degree to Dr. Ezike. We're on track to have in-person fall classes and to do so safely. We've been hard at work to help admitted students become future Salukis and to encourage students to continue their education. Reflecting on where we have been and where we are today gives us a solid foundation from which to build on. On the next few slides, I'd like us to lay out the goal, purpose, and framework of the Listening and Learning Tour and begin to show you where our key focus areas will be as an institution as we plan for what comes next. As you know, I've been engaging a wide range of groups as part of this Listening and Learning Tour. Part of my journey was to listen. As my mother used to always say, just listen. You'll learn a lot if you just listen. Not to come in and start barking out strategic plan or marching orders. That was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to listen. I've seen people do that in the past, and it just simply does not work. About 90 plus groups met with those groups, hundreds of faculty, staff, students, alums, community members. Anyone that would meet with me, I would meet with them to learn more about this great university. We ask constituents for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We needed to have candid conversations to stay on the right track. And the conversations were wide-ranging, with topics ranging from campus culture, alumni, students, faculty and staff, operations, enrollment, academics, leadership, community, diversity, reputation. Those themes came up over and over and over again. A lot of opinions, a lot of passion in terms of where we needed to move and what direction we needed to move in. The best part about the sessions, this was the best part about these sessions, especially with a newcomer coming in, was that I got to know you. So getting to know you was very valuable. Getting to sit on Zoom with you was very valuable. It's better than being in an auditorium where I couldn't really even interact with you if you were in the crowd. So I really appreciated that. My purpose for this tour was to meet with as many faculty, staff, students, alums, community members, our internal, external stakeholders, and find out what they loved about SIUC and things we needed to focus on going forward. My goal was to create a shared vision, not the Chancellor's vision. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. This is not the Chancellor's strategic plan. This is not the Chancellor's top priorities. I wanted to create a shared vision by soliciting feedback from you before making those plans. I learned a lot, as I mentioned, on this tour, and as I met with group after group, several key themes began to emerge. These themes have become the main focus areas of my thinking about the future and are now the strategic pillars on which I believe this institution should focus its collective efforts, keyword collective efforts. These pillars are broad and lay the foundation for the strategic plan and will help give us clarity in our direction. We've been without a strategic plan for several years. So the idea is that we develop that 5-10-year plan based on what we are finding here by this summer. The timing is pretty good because the system Our very own president, Dr. Dan Mahoney, is also working on its strategic plan, and ours will be closely aligned and tied to their key focus areas so we can stay connected and moving in the right direction. Need to learn from the past so that we don't repeat mistakes. However, finger pointing at one person or entity will not and does not solve the problem. Going forward, we've got to figure out a way to collectively, there's that word again, collectively get it right. It's going to be critically important. So when you think about priorities at the university, we have a lot of competing priorities that are out there. The idea behind the 5 pillars is to narrow them down because we cannot fund 29 or 30 priorities. We have to be efficient with what we are focused on, and great things happen, but if we don't have strategies and those priorities tied to that, they get lost. They get tossed around, they get forgotten about. So we've got to be clear on how we're focusing on our priorities. Here's just a preview of those 5 pillars that really support those emerging themes. Number 1, student success and engagement. Number 2, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Number 3, research and innovation. Number 4, sustainability. And number 5, branding and partnerships. I want to talk a little bit about student success and engagement, and each of these pillars I'll talk a little bit about. But as I do this, I'll discuss some of what I heard in my conversations with you on the Listening and Learning Tour. Then I'll highlight some things we're doing today to address these topics and preview some proposed initiatives that we will take on in the future. It's going to be critical for us. Student success and engagement. Enrollment. Last fall, we created the Enrollment Task Force. These key leaders across campus meet weekly to discuss processes and strategies to encourage more students to apply to SIU and ultimately enroll. So I want to thank our provost, Dr. Kamaraju, our interim director of admissions, Amanda Sutton, and all of those advisors, financial aid, registrar, Dee Rotello, Tamara, all of our leaders in those areas are meeting weekly to try and make sure that students don't fall through the cracks. I want to applaud them for their work every single week. They're doing a great job. Growing enrollment is necessary to get our financial house in order. I heard many say how they have gone several years without a raise. We must grow enrollment to address salary compression and other pay disparities. Enrollment is going to be our way to doing that. We're increasing our enrollment. Reassessing how we grant waivers. Worked very hard with our CFO, Judy. Judy's done an amazing job and will be retiring here this week. And I want to publicly say, great job, Judy, and the work that you've done and the years of service that you've given to SIUC. But in the past, they have been excessive. Some of our waivers have been a bit excessive. We've not received a good return on those investments in some cases financially when you look at our tuition revenue. And it didn't really help us grow some of those enrollment pieces that we wanted to grow in. However, we have initiatives that you probably heard about this past fall. The Saluki Commitment and the Saluki Transfer Commitment will help improve access, meet families' needs, and benefit the university. SIUC will use AIM High funds to close the gap for low and moderate income students applying for financial aid. That's going to be a game changer, not only for our region, but across our state for students that are here in the state of Illinois, keeping those students at home, making sure that SIUC is a first choice university is going to be critical. Recruitment, it's a campus-wide effort. Targeted advertising on digital formats, promoting academic programs. Admissions provides in-person virtual tours. If you are out on campus, we've been doing virtual tours, but if you're out on campus, you're seeing our future Salukis walking around in their backpacks with their mothers, their fathers, their loved ones, ready to come to us in the fall. Really, really excited about that. Our faculty, hats off to our faculty for getting involved, making phone calls. They're sending handwritten postcards. Our deans doing great work there, getting out. Enrollment, again, is everyone's job. Recruitment is everyone's job. So we appreciate all the efforts. As you know, we're joining the Common App. We expect to see even more applications to our university. We plan to have a new Associate Chancellor of Enrollment Management in place as early as this summer. Enrollment is both recruiting new students and retaining current students. So not only is it important to recruit those students, but when they get here, we want them to stay and get from orientation to graduation to the workforce. Our nationally recognized First Saluki Center, 40% of our students identify as first generation. Dr. Love will tell you all about that if you go over and ask her. Fully implemented 2 essential support software products. Our Student Success Collaborative Navigate by EAB, and then our Degree Works. So talk about tracking your progress and moving forward in those pathways is extremely critical. Our centralized advisement. Janice does an amazing job with our advisors, who also do a great job. This is allowing us to identify and resolve issues related to processes and communication between units. Provide substitution and coverage when there is loss of advisors so that students are served more fully. Implementing an onboarding training program for new advisors so they can hit the ground running at a faster pace. Again, these efforts help with our retention numbers. They're looking really good. We've revamped the University 101 Saluki Success Program 2 years ago and continue to refine it to serve freshmen more fully. Example, connecting students to their academic homes as well as resources, enhancing study skills. All of those are important. We revised the university core curriculum using an early alert warning system to identify students who are not attending classes or not performing successfully during their first few weeks. So these are all things that are working to make sure that our students are successful and that we're engaging our students so they can move forward. Our next area in diversity, equity, and inclusion. An essential part of recruitment and student success, is really having a campus culture where everyone feels safe and welcome. We receive recognition in this area. Our Student Health Services named a national LGBTQ healthcare equality leader. We're a national recognized as wheelchair-friendly campus. Just recently, in our efforts to enhance in diversity, equity, and inclusion, we've elevated our diversity officer position to a vice chancellor level position. We hope to have a person in place soon. We have participated in the systems conversations of understanding. This is something that Dr. Mahoney brought with him this past summer when he came on board, or this past spring when he came on board. He was very forward thinking, and this has helped us continue those conversations that we have to have. In 2020, we established the Chancellor's Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion when I arrived. Again, we wanted to look at systemic racism on our campus and what we can do to dismantle that. The goal of the task force is to make SIU become an anti-racism campus. We have work to do, but the committee has already made some strides in a very short time, including, give you a few bullets here. The university's fall 2021 scholarships will be based on grade point average instead of ACT, SAT scores. This is a natural step following the university's earlier decision to become test optional. The Student Conduct Code was reviewed to ensure that it reflects inclusivity. The first George Floyd Scholarship was awarded. All of our University 101 classes will now have a diversity component discussing SIUC's long history of diversity. The Black faculty, or the Black Staff and Faculty Council, and the Hispanic Staff and Faculty Council will become formal constituency groups in the fall of 2021, if not sooner. Really excited about that. We have a monthly diversity newsletter that started in September 2020. Todd Bryson and his staff did an amazing job in putting that together. We have a new 5-week summer program. It's an early start and will be launched this summer for students that are below a 2.74. For those of you tuning in, most of our alums and even some of our employees remember Dr. Seymour Bryson. This summer program is the Dr. Seymour Bryson Future Scholars Program. It's going to attract students and give them an opportunity to succeed like it did many of our alums that are out there. Thanks to the SIU Foundation for backing that program financially. We're going to see close to 50 students in that program. I can't wait to get them here and to support them. A full-time non-tenure track instructor was hired in the Africana Studies Department. And there are other tenure track or other positions that have been approved for that program, and we look forward to inviting them to our campus. Athletics has established a diversity and inclusion committee to address policies as they pertain to equity and diversity, provide listening space for student athletes, and plan for continued implementation of initiatives throughout the year. All athletic teams and the athletic department staff will complete anti-racism and anti-bias training by the end of September. So hats off to Liz and her team in athletics for focusing on DEI and making sure our student athletes are taken care of. In addition, the Faculty Senate, I really want to applaud Dr. Odom and the Faculty Senate in their work. They passed a resolution to charge the Faculty Senate standing committees to address diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's historic, and hats off to the work that's being done there. Research and innovation, our next pillar. We've had that long history of being the institution that really gives students an opportunity. Our first-generation students, rural students, students from different backgrounds, to be able to come into a doctoral research university and engage with our faculty pretty early on in research. We have amazing research taking place. I mentioned earlier about what happened with the research in the Mississippi River. Student research on sudden death syndrome in soybeans. Record year winning external funding. Research collaboration pillar really to help our institution not only maintain the doctoral research status that we have, but if there's any opportunity to go to another level, really trying to get our focus on our research efforts and support it. Investment into our research infrastructure is greatly needed if we're going to do that. We need a plan not only to sustain, but to get us to where we want to be. We're going to have to look at how to allocate those resources we have, things that we want to be, things that we want to improve on. It's going to be very important that we're focused there. It's going to be a priority, but it has to be one that we're all focused on. We need to support our talented faculty and retain them, many of which came here because of our doctoral research status, them wanting to research. Yes, our teaching and learning is magnificent, but our faculty, at least on my tour, made it clear they want to continue and be supported in their research. That's very important. We have to be more strategic about the new programs we introduce. Well, online programs used to be launched if someone wanted to teach, making sure that the market and the programs that are needed for the market, if we're offering online programs, that we're doing that in a way that's going to connect us so we can have success in those areas. Sustainability. This is an area, I have to be honest, that really I didn't think it would be one of our pillars until I started again to listen and learn about what we have here. Sustainability honors. We're a tree campus. We're bike friendly. University is rooted in sustainability. We're in a unique area, as you know, with 5 natural history divisions that intersect. One example of our long-standing commitment to sustainability is Touch of Nature, which was established in 1940 to connect people with nature. Today, it provides experiential education and adventure project-based learning for campus and community organizations. Its programs increase environmental awareness, appreciation, and stewardship. They do an amazing job. If you've not been out there, it's an oasis. So hats off to JD and Brian and some of the others that are doing an amazing job out there. Environmental justice fits with diversity, equity, and inclusion. A few others are Second Nature Climate Commitment, our Climate Action Plan, to integrate it with our strategic plan. We're working with our Sense Group and others to do that. We have to embed this in our culture so we can sustain the efforts that we're making and that they don't get lost. We need to do a better job of educating the masses on what we're doing and why it's important and why we are using it as a feather in our cap for our institution. Several of the students that we are recruiting have sustainability at their core. The generation that we are targeting very well versed in sustainability efforts. And we want to continue to attract those students to our institution. Our leaders, our future leaders, this is going to be very important. So we have a tremendous opportunity to make improvements by putting modern technology into our buildings. We can only improve the indoor environments where teaching and research takes place by making them more functional, safer, with better ventilation, and especially in the COVID era, making sure that our facilities are where they need to be as we look forward. By 2030, we have the opportunity to cut our energy usage by 50%. This would put us on the path to what many are calling for, which is carbon neutrality by the 2030 goal. We need to move away from coal to renewable energy. We've heard that loud and clear. And we are probably going to have to rely on natural gas as a bridge to get from coal to renewables. But it's something, again, I heard on the tour that we need to focus on. So a stronger campus, stronger Carbondale, and a stronger Southern Illinois. Branding and partnerships, which is our final pillar. Recruiting in our own backyard. I heard this over and over and over again. The region will definitely be a focus. Our backyard will be a focus. We've attempted to reach out to several principals, superintendents, community college presidents, families, alums, you name it, anyone that will listen to us to talk about how we're going to red carpet the Southern Illinois region. Does not mean that we won't look outside of the region and try and bring in students from around the state of Illinois or the surrounding states that surround our state here. We will definitely do that. We want to dispel the myth that we don't want students from Southern Illinois. We have new agreements with community colleges, with high schools, with youth organizations in the region, with Metro East in St. Louis. SIU's Illinois SBDC assists local businesses to keep us connected because we are an economic engine for the region. We're doing a great job there. Lynn and her team. Our business community, our chambers of commerce, we're always involved in those meetings, always making sure we're at the table. Woody and Rex over at SIH lead SI Now, and we want to make sure that we are firmly connected in those partnerships with those entities to help us move this region forward and the state forward. Our marketing and branding came out loud and clear from each and everyone I talked to about what we needed to do. I often heard about great things, or they heard about great things happening at SIU, but not everyone knew about it. So we've got to find ways to make sure we're not a best kept secret. Fear or not, that's the perception. So we've got to do a better job to make sure that we reach and extend and make sure people know about the greatness that's happening here. We don't need to be bashful when telling the SIUC story. Let's talk about who we are and how incredible the work is, and not let it be, again, a best kept secret. We have a good group of people in our communications and marketing, thanks to Kim Renfield and her staff today for helping with this presentation. They're very busy and hard at work, again, making sure we're not a best kept secret. National headlines with research is something that we can tout. strategically targeting advertising, promoting academic programs that we have here that really help us connect and find those potential traditional and or non-traditional age students is going to be important. How we engage with our alums to make sure that they have pride in being a Saluki and to make sure that they see their alma mater, whether it's on billboards or whether it's at anywhere where they frequent or live, it's going to be very important. So a lot of work that will happen in those areas. So look forward to a lot of interesting things to come. In addition to the Listening and Learn tour, we've engaged a third-party consulting firm that has recently fielded a survey that measures an institution's performance in 12 key dimensions. In order to properly plan for what's next, we need to honestly be able to assess where we are today. And this survey was just another helpful tool to do just that. One recent effort to help us with this assessment just went into a couple of weeks. I think we had this a couple of weeks ago from our firm. What you see before you basically are the initial returns from the survey that we administered. And there are some immediate conclusions to be drawn from this. Number one, these numbers on the screen are scoring SIU's Carbondale's performance on a 0 to 100 point scale. For example, we scored a 47 under vision. Again, that's 0 to 100. We scored a 47 under vision. One immediate takeaway from the data is that our scores are pretty low across the board when you look at the chart that I'm showing you. Our three lowest scores are adaptability, scored a 42, strategy, 43, and talent, 46. The low score on strategy directly reinforces my desire to think long-term and dream big about what this university could be. And in order to get there, we must ensure that we have the right systems, processes, and structure in place to improve our ability to adapt to changing conditions around us. And we must attract the right talent, and we must support that talent that will set us apart from other peer institutions. There are early takes from the research, but I look forward to sharing more and more of this and the insights from this as the weeks progress. Now that we have introduced to you our 5 strategic pillars, I want to share a preview of the method in which we will measure our progress and hold each other accountable for seeing this plan through. So now that you gave me all the great information, we've got to make sure it's not just me trying to accomplish those goals. We don't need skeptics on the sideline. We need that collective help moving forward. I typically use a framework called unit effectiveness planning for the accountability piece. Within it, each unit comes up with their respective goals and breaks down the approach for achieving these goals through objectives, measures, action steps, and by identifying the methods of assessment. All targets and KPIs identified in the process are tied right back to our 5 strategic pillars, ensuring alignment across departments and functions. As I mentioned earlier, our system is also working on the strategic plan. Our pillars will tie nicely right into the work that's happening at the system with Dr. Mahoney. Each Vice Chancellor will submit this plan by July 1 each year for approval, and we will upload their plan for full transparency. We're going to upload their plan in our strategic planning dashboard that will be again accessible, so all areas will know what is being worked on annually in each area, so we can give updates to our campus community. State of the universities in the future will really be me giving those updates on how we did in the last academic year in a number of different areas. This is typically done by Institutional Effectiveness, Institutional Research Office. Scott Bridges has been doing a great job in helping us with that. So he will help put this framework in place so we can monitor ourselves. I typically have a leadership retreat with Cabinet. We discuss these UEPs in late June, but I want to add that I also talk on a monthly basis with all of our constituency leads. and get feedback from them and make sure that we're keeping them in the loop. That's very important. So going forward, we'll have more information to share with you. The next slide is just a general example of what that form or rubric will look like as we assess ourselves. And I won't read that slide to you, but if you look at some of the headers on the left side, it will give you a sense of how we plan, how we implement, and how we evaluate. That's going to be a critical matrix going forward. So imagine, we're back to imagine again. Imagine SIU Carbondale. I just want to take a moment because I talked about this earlier of our theme being imagine. It's the theme of our strategic plan. Will be imagine SIUC in 2030, or just the word imagine. When you're imagining things, you're not pessimistic, you're not negative, you're dreaming. When you're imagining, you're thinking of what we can be, or what we should be, or what we're striving to be. So I want everyone to keep imagining what we can be if we work together collectively. It's going to be critical. I've been meeting with you over these past several months, and I've learned so much about this institution, so much about our history, so much about the people that are here. Critically important. But imagine, just imagine, if we could enroll 15,000 students by 2025. Just imagine that. Imagine if we could move our U.S. News and World Report ranking from 258 to 200 by 2025. Just imagine that. Imagine the work that it would take. Imagine if we had a campus that is known for being diverse, inclusive, where every student, faculty, staff felt safe and at home. Just imagine that. Imagine if we led the way by being a completely carbon neutral campus within a decade. Wouldn't that be something? Imagine if we were no longer a best kept secret in our region or across the country or across the world. We want to get that secret out. We don't want to be a best kept secret. So just imagine. I want to really highlight the next group on the slide. This is going to be very important because our human resources means everything if we're going to achieve the success that we want to achieve. That's going to be very important. As we embark on this strategic planning process, I've been saying the word imagine, 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 and dream big. In the spirit of dreaming big, we're going to take just a few minutes to recognize some amazing folks that are here, amazing Salukis who've exemplified what it means to be part of this great university. These Excellence Award winners have demonstrated outstanding teaching, significant scholarly and artistic contributions, and dedication to furthering the mission of our university. I hope everyone is inspired by our award winners, as am I. So let's get right into it. Our Scholar Excellence Award goes to Daryl G. Croner, a professor of criminology and criminal justice. Congratulations. Our Teaching Excellence Award goes to Michael James Liddy, professor of zoology. Congratulations. Our Teaching Excellence Award also goes to Diana Tigerly, I think that is, and I apologize if I'm messing that up. Our associate professor over in our Women Gender Studies program. And I apologize if I butchered your name there. Our Teaching Excellence Award also goes to Kevin R. Smith, Senior Lecturer, Chemistry and Biochemistry. Congratulations. Our Early Career Faculty Excellence Award goes to Gayan Badouj, Assistant Professor, Electrical, Computer, and Biomedical Engineering. Congratulations. Our Women of Distinction Award goes to Bobby Knapp, Associate Professor, Kinesiology. Our Emerging Leader, and Dr. Conway, she and I have worked together in our new program, National Empowerment Women program. She does an amazing job, so hats off and congratulations as one of our emerging leaders. She's doing a fantastic job. Our Staff Excellence Award goes to Dr. Love. I mentioned her earlier with the work she's doing with our first generation students. Does an amazing job with our first Saluki Center, and also picked up an award through NASPA, our Student Affairs area. So that's a great job for her. Another Staff Excellence Award winner is Richard Scott Taylor. Richard does a great job over in university housing and taking care of our facilities there so our students can have a good night rest. So congratulations to each and every one of those winners. We wish we could be in person. We will hopefully this time next year. As we wrap up, I want to invite you once more to imagine what SIU Carbondale can be. And in the lyrics I mentioned earlier from John Lennon, that line that I love, it says, "You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I will share with you, I'm not the only one. I've talked to a lot of dreamers over the last 9 months here at SIU Carbondale. And I've talked to a lot of passionate Salukis about how they want to win. I want to win together. I want us to imagine winning, visualize what we can do and what we can be. That's going to be extremely, extremely important. So to all of the Salukis, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking time with me over the last 9 months. Stay safe, stay committed, and keep imagining. Go Dogs.